recording. Here it goes. And yes, space is yours. Please start.
Thank you so much, Sanchita. So first of all, I would like to know who of you are Scrum Masters? How many Scrum Masters have we got?
Okay, Antoinette, I worked as a Scrum Master for almost 3 years, and
Yeah.
currently I'm acting as a Team Agile Coach.
Okay. Okay. So any Scrum Masters? So we've got one
okay.
Agile
So
Coach.
myself,
Okay.
Scrum Master.
Okay, 2 Scrum Masters. Great. Agile Coaches?
I'm also a Scrum Master and also a certified Scrum
Thank you.
Scrum
Okay, so
Alliance.
okay, thank you.
Also, I
So,
worked as a Scrum Master. Yeah.
okay. So, and who of you are Enterprise Coaches?
Hello, Antoinette. Am I audible?
Hi, Rahul, can hear you? Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm in a shopping mall. That's why my video is off.
Okay.
So I would say I'm learning agile coaching for last few years. I'm not an agile coach yet because I'm on part to CTC, and I've realized that I don't know anything.
Okay. Okay. So I'd very much like to. Yeah, so the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know anything, huh?
Yes, I was about to say that. I echo with what Rahul just mentioned. The thing is, with agile coaching specifically, like when you start, you feel that, yeah, I know it. But every day you run into issues and you realize you have absolutely no idea how this needs to be fixed. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So so I've in the chat I've put a link to a little mural board that I would like to just I'd like us to just put down stickies for what we think a Scrum Master does versus what an Agile Coach do, what a Enterprise Agile Coach do. Okay, so see if you can get in. I see some of you have been getting in, and then the minute everybody's in, I'll tell you how to create stickies. Well, actually, I don't have to wait till you're all in. You just double click. Okay, double clicking.
Life is very difficult here because I'm using mobile, so everything
Yeah,
is very
that's
difficult.
fine. So we'll have to just tell you what we see. We'll do that. No problem. Okay. I know Raul also probably won't be able to contribute, but so those of you that can get onto the board, let's just spend 5 minutes. Well, three to 5 minutes. Let's see when the energy runs out. But what's the difference? What do you do as an Agile Coach? What do you do as a Scrum Master? What do you do as an Enterprise Agile Coach? So we've got that as Scrum Master's impediment remover. We got its facilitate. Key Agile framework focus is Scrum. Agile Coach lead the team lean Agile practices. Help the team execute program increment. That's also Scrum Master. Agile Coach creates guilds, train teams. Okay, Scrum Master guides the team.
So according to me, it's the same role. It's based on the influence you are playing, the Enterprise Agile Coach or Agile Coach or maybe the Scrum Master. So Scrum Master is basically to the team. Agile Coach is particularly a team of teams, and the Enterprise Agile Coach is at the org level, who is going to make a decision for the agility for the organization.
Okay. So Govindra, I want to capture that. Okay, so so we've got team level coach as a Scrum Master. Some people have said, because it's a very interesting overlap. The distinction people draw between a Scrum Master and an Agile Coach. Okay. So you are saying that a Scrum Master is somebody that, and let's use the term Scrum Master ubiquitously. So whether it's the actual frame that you're using is Scrum or whether it's something else, okay? And an agile coach for you is somebody who looks after multiple teams. Okay, and an
So
enterprise
it's a
coach?
label. Yeah, so agile coach is at individual and team level. Okay, and at maybe at program level also he can look at, and enterprise coach is going to look at the organization level.
Okay, okay,
And
great.
also I
So,
want to add that enterprise agile coach probably helps you to adapt the agile practices into the organization and transform and process the agile transformation in the organization. And agile coach may be the person who coaches the whole program level for the agile practices, best practices, and initiate the agile transformation at the program level.
okay, okay.
And the one more difference is in at enterprise coach is enterprise coach he must help to develop leaders, and he will going to facilitate the events at the organization level.
So can I have, you guys all have a reaction button, okay? And I know once again,
Yeah.
so you should even have that on mobile. Can I have a show of hands? Who currently is working with a non-technology, in a non-technology space? Who works with HR or marketing or sales or finance?
Or ops.
Ops to me is still part of
Call
technical.
centers. Call
Technical also.
centers.
Call centers, yeah, ops in that regard. Okay,
Okay.
that's that's a non-technical. Yeah, that's a non-technical. I would consider that to be a
So
non-technical.
yeah, this is Govindraj here. Recently I started working with my finance team. Okay, and I'm taking this finance to the total agile transformation.
Yep. Okay. So that's
And
typically a role an enterprise agile
yeah,
coach would play. So because as you
Antoinette,
said,
yeah, I'm sorry to disturb you in between. So
no,
because I I heard a lot of differences that were poured in by our very good friends. So just see, I'm a Scrum Master. I'm not into any. I'm not an agile coach or an enterprise coach, but I heard it like the basic differences that we are looking at. Okay, but what I would like to hear from everyone is like how would be the mindset of a scrum master compared to an agile coach, or agile coach compared to scrum master, or maybe the enterprise coach. So I want to see how what is the basic triggering mindset should be there. What would be the difference? How, what if we want to, because what I see is after scrum master we will go to scrum means agile coach, and then we go to enterprise coach. So to broaden our horizon, first of all we need to have a thinking to be having a wide spectrum. So just wanted to understand how this would be differentiated in terms of mindset.
so who would like to respond to that? The difference in mindset. Is there a difference in mindset? There's certainly a difference in skills. So Scrum
According to
Master.
me, there is a mindset is not going to be changed. Okay,
Okay.
it's going to be the same mindset as a coach or maybe enterprise. But the way when you are going to interact with a team, the approach is different as a coach, and when you are going to interact with a leader, the approach is going to be different. So there you have to use your different hats based on the purpose you want to achieve with that individual or a group.
So okay, thanks, Govindra. Who else has got an opinion on that? I'd
Yeah,
like
so
to hear
like,
from some of the
yeah,
more silent voices.
yeah. So like a Scrum Master, more focus on team, like more focus on team. But Agile Coach is like working with multiple teams, working with Scrum Master to ensure that like they involving in a transformation, organization transformation level. So their role and responsibility are bigger than a Scrum Master.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
I want
Can
to add
I
my cent and okay, go ahead.
after you,
Okay.
Bala Ganesh after you?
Okay, sure. Thanks, Satish. So,
Yeah, please go ahead.
with respect to Scrum Master, so we don't have that much say in the table with respect to the strategy or portfolio, wherein Agile Coach or Enterprise level Agile Coach might have be working more in strategy, vision, or the entire portfolio of the organization.
So yeah, so Bala, I still hear when you're speaking, I hear, I mean, one of the things that I'd really like to bring from my own experience is that when we move from Agile Coach to Enterprise Coach, we move out of technology to a large extent. So if we look at SAFe, for instance, okay, I'm not a great proponent of SAFe. To me, I don't care what you use as long as you get the results. Okay, but if we look at SAFe, the portfolio level is still pretty much has a technology flavor. And as an enterprise coach, you need to look much wider than just technology. You need to look at, as how do we actually, the question of agile kind of goes away as an enterprise coach, and we look much more at agility. So what do we need as leaders to create and some agility in the organization, where if we look at the entire value stream of something that we are producing in our organization, and we look at all the supporting functions, where do we need to tweak stuff? So the job of enterprise coach actually has very little to do with agile. It has everything to do with agility, and I found the mindset question that you asked. Now I can't remember who asked. Govardhana,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think is, yeah, you
Yes,
asked.
yes, yes.
So that's a really interesting question. So what happens for you if I say that, if I say that the Enterprise Agile Coach has got nothing to do with agile? What's there for you?
That's what I want to understand. so, what I am thinking is because you were on the right thinking mode. What I was thinking, like what I feel is, if we go beyond agile coach, what we are seeing is we are looking at solution wise. We were putting more into a solution mode rather than looking at what methodologies or what are the things that we can utilize to achieve that goal. So yeah, so I agree with you, Antoinette. Sorry, I spelled correctly. If I uh, uh, so my English is bad. Pardon me.
It's not my first language either, so you're in good company. So
Thank you for comforting me. Yeah, so that's what even I feel like enterprise coach is what I feel that it should be much more logical rather than putting up processes or something, like maybe whatever process, whether it is agile or Kanban or whatever it is, means getting the results. But you should be thinking more to get the solution out of it. If you have a one line statement, problem statement given to you, how will you solve it? So I think that would be the biggest job of
okay,
enterprise coach. Yeah.
okay. So that's one view. Who's got a different view?
Hi, this is Sandeep here. I have rather a question which is lingering on my mind. When we use the terminology called enterprise, we know about Agile Coach, we know about Scrum Master, but when we bring in the terminology enterprise, the question which comes to my mind is, let's say if you are a startup, of 10, 20, 30, 50 people. In such a small organization, would you still be having an enterprise agile coach? And if you would, what would you expect the enterprise agile coach to do different compared to, let's say, you might be having a scrum master or an agile coach? So the point which I'm trying to make here is, does this word enterprise bring in the size of the organization? What how should we interpret enterprise in the enterprise agile coach title? or the role?
So,
Yes, go for it.
hiya. Before we understand what is enterprise coaching, probably struggling to understand here, what do we mean by enterprise? Is it one person, or is it one team, or is it more than a team? And what is it made up of? End of the day, whether you're talking about a team, an organization, or whatever, everything is made up of a group of people. So, what sort of people are available in this enterprise? Uh, that is what we need to. I'm struggling to understand, because
Okay.
in the market, everyone speaks different terminology, new words, and people keep advertising. I can coach you, or I can train you on Scrum Master, train you on Agile coaching, train you on facilitation, train the leaders, train the enterprise, train the organization, transform. So, what is this enterprise made up of? Because for every
Okay.
company, it might be different.
So organization. So you can substitute for me in my and that's my opinion only. So for me, you can substitute the word enterprise with the word organization. Okay, so it's about the difference between, if we think about the way Agile started, it started at the team level, and then from the team level it went to, okay, eventually we realized that the whole technology organization, the whole part, everybody that's involved in building software and rolling software products out there, it grew to that. So that's when Agile coaches started. So if I look at my own journeys in Agile, in the 20 odd years that I've been doing it, then we realized, first we thought, well, okay, if we just need to work differently at the team level. And then we realized, okay, that's not working. Things change, but they don't change enough. Right, we need to be working at a departmental level, everybody in IT. Okay, so now then the whole development organization, the whole development department of an organization became Agile. Then we realized, oh, that doesn't work. So then we brought in DevOps, because we have to bring in, the whole ops part of development into it as well. Okay, then we still didn't get the problems. If we looked at the impediments that we were experiencing, we realized, whoops, that's not going to work. We need to go to a bigger level, and eventually we realized, well, if we really want to get the benefits of Agile, we have to, the whole organization, everything around it, for instance, there's no point if we're saying that a team is responsible for everything, but we do individual performance reviews. Because then we are not, how we reward people and how we say they should be then become two different things. And they, so therefore HR needs to start functioning in a different way. And then we realize, well, if we just finance projects, then that goes against the whole product financing. So finance has to become Agile as well, and eventually we realized, well, unless we change the structure of an organization, so like organizational design, if we don't fiddle with that, which means that the leaders have to do stuff differently, then we're also never going to have organizational agility. So that's kind of how it grew organically. And, and enterprise coaching started when we realized we have to look at organizational design, we have to look at leadership development, because leaders won't give their power away unless they know how to, and unless they can ensure that the organization will survive. We need to look at large-scale change. We need to look at large-scale facilitation. So all of those things tend to be more associated with an organizational coach or an enterprise coach than with a team coach. And it was a very good question, Sandeep. Your question about, at a 20-person organization, of course, it's a much simpler job at a 20-person organization than it is at a 20,000 person organization. So maybe an agile coach, it's the space where an agile coach learns about coaching more more multiple teams in Scrum, it's more about, well, I need to look at the whole organization. I look at all parts of the organization, and all the parts of organization need to think, need to have an agile mindset, and therefore grow their agility than just the teams that I'm working with. I've said a lot now, so
Yeah, like I would like to add something. Like
who wants to comment?
yeah, I would like to add something. So in a safe, like we implement safe in a big organization where like 120 member are there, so implement like program level safe. Then if we have more than like it's a like a large portfolio level safe, then we have larger scale. So similar kind of thing. If we have organization, a small organization where 20 30 people are there, so definitely I think one agile coach or a scrum master will sufficient. But definitely if we have bigger organization, then we need to have different prospects, so that their roles and responsibility will be different to manage
Mm.
those kind of thing.
Yeah. And on just to add to it, even like for a smaller organization or any kind of organization we are talking, it's the complexity of the work that would also define whether you need agile at all or not.
Right,
That is
right,
also
right.
one
Correct.
perspective that I would want to bring.
Yeah.
So as a coach, Antoinette, I would get back to your first question, that what I feel personally is the role of coaches, right? I always start with what's in the name. You don't need to be a scrum, you need not be named as scrum master or agile coach. Coaching is something that is a mindset. I mean, when you coach, you make leaders, you make the other person, think of solution. A coach is not a consultant, right? So I always tell my team that don't come to me for solutions, but yes, I can, ask the right questions so that where to find your right answers. It's more like spiritual gurus. You you
Coaching,
you
coaching.
you don't give them the answer or the solution. I mean, that's what I practice, that as a coach I cannot give you the solution because I might not know the technical part of your work, right? But as a coach I need to ask the right questions and do not have any assumptions before asking those questions. So that's one of the basic characteristic, I think, as a coach. And it really doesn't matter if you're a team level coach or an enterprise level coach, it's the mindset of coaching that needs to be
Or
there.
Correct.
an organizational.
So I
Good.
have a little different opinion, if I go next.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also depends on what maturity level your team or your organization is, right? You have to curate your agile coaching style as per that. Sometimes you have to show and tell. You have to handhold and take your teams to show what is the best practices. Um, and that's why you have to assess. You have to keep inspect, retrospect as much as you can, and then how you need to curate or your style of coaching. And uh, obviously it is not a solution that is you're offering, but you have to facilitate those solutions, right? Sometimes also, and bring in experts also at times if you are not the expert of a technical thing. If your team wants a DevOps to start, but you get a help from a DevOps expert, right? So that is what my take is on. You have to initially see the maturity level, as we say, forming, norming, storming, where your team is, and accordingly work for it.
Yeah. So I'm wondering whether you guys will allow me to share my screen for one moment. I'm sure you all know this,
Sure.
but it just reminds me again what you're saying. It reminds me again of what the role of an agile coach does. So there's certainly a distinction between team coaching and enterprise coaching, but in that role, we do training sometimes, we do mentoring sometimes, we do transformation sometimes, we do professional team coaching, professional coaching, facilitation. So it doesn't matter whether you're a scrum master or an agile coach or an enterprise coach. We have to lean on those competencies quite a lot when we do our jobs. So it's actually a little bit sad to me that we decided to call it an agile coach, because then it seems that an agile, then a coach should only be doing coaching, but a coach does a whole bunch of things. Coach does and you need to know, in a new team you're going to do a lot more training than in an established team, for instance.
Yeah, I agree with you. Coach is not limited to certain responsibilities.
Yeah.
He should be wearing different hats at different times based on the situation, the
Yeah.
circumstance, and who
Yeah.
the coach is. So it's not like I'm a team leader, I'm a team manager, or a project manager.
Yeah.
So
And I
I
mean,
totally agree with you.
so to build even on what you said, I expect leaders, organizational leaders, managers to be able to coach as well. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a skill that everybody should be
It's a
developing. You know,
yeah.
so
As long as they have the right mindset,
yeah,
a leader's mindset rather than a manager's mindset.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
if I may just add, anyone can be a coach, even at the team level. You know, coaches are someone who aspire, and
yeah,
they are someone who are asking the right questions always, and you are motivating to improve every
yeah,
day
yeah,
based on
yeah.
empirism, right? So yeah.
No, I think to some extent, even without our knowledge, we might be coaching our kids at sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I'm just checking on our time. Till when have we got? Because I actually want to ask you another question on this. I want to ask you about what time should we finish?
I think we have 7 more minutes.
8:55, I think.
Okay.
Antonio,
Okay.
this meeting will end within 40 minutes. It is time box for 40 minutes.
Okay. So how
Okay.
much of those 40 minutes have we got left?
We have exactly 10 minutes left.
Okay. So
7 minutes.
I want to ask you. So how would you? I mean, how would you go if you want to? If you're currently a Scrum Master? I mean, what do you see as the skills that you need to gain and the mindset that you need to change? I mean, what do you need to become an agile coach? Let's talk about that first of all.
I would say some of the skills we need to be carrying is coaching. We should be able to coach people. We should be able to train people, teach people, facilitate the events. And those are the main things that you usually look at.
Okay. Okay, so that's Suresh. Who else wants to add or
Uh,
wants to?
so, so are you talking about the Scrum Master moving towards more of an agile coach kind of role?
Yes, yes. So what do you need to do if you're
Yeah.
currently a Scrum Master to become an agile
So,
coach?
so as you could, as one could understand, it's the Scrum Master would always be focused. I mean, of course, making the team more agile, but the key focus area is the Scrum process framework when you are working as a Scrum Master. But if you are moving towards an agile coach, it's also about exploring the other frameworks or other practices which fall under the agile way of working. So it's no more only Scrum, but you explore other. So basically, you help the team to choose the right framework when you are the agile coach. And like someone already mentioned, the agile mindset should be there right within. I mean, right. From the time you work as a Scrum Master, anyone and everyone who is on the agile team should have the agile mindset. That's a given. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
So,
Okay. Okay. Who else?
I feel that team level Scrum Master, if he wants to expand, he needs to actually engage with organization levels activities. So probably start with a COP, because that's where you start learning from each other, cross learning, handling challenges that other Scrum Masters are facing, trying and discovering solutions with them. Probably at some point you start coaching and mentoring. Of course, constantly you have to keep on increasing your own skill set as a coach. And so yeah, so the next step as per me is engage with wider audience, have an influence, not that you have to influence or something, but more like enrollment conversation with larger audience within your organization. Step out of your team, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and also like implement best practices within an organization, so that team will like learn new things, new practices like DevOps or something, whatever new framework. So those kind of thing that a Scrum Master need to do while going towards Agile Coach.
Yeah. So thank you. Go for it.
Yeah, one last point. Like I said, I transitioned from as a Scrum Master to Team Agile Coach. So I think acceptability by your team members and the other teams is also important. And engaging, like rightly mentioned by Deepti, I think when you start uh, using your skills and start exhibiting those, characteristics of a coach, you're automatically selected. I mean, I won't say selected, but you're picked unanimously by your team to move to the next role. So yeah.
So
And
so
just
so
to add one more item,
yeah.
beyond mindset and people, I would say when you are transitioning now from Scrum Master to next role, the knowledge about, if I'd say that how enterprises actually work. So there are four types of products that every enterprises have: the innovation, the scale, the sunsetting applications. So if you don't understand that entire life cycle of an enterprise and the products they are getting engaged, and then the types of teams, so making performing team to high performing team, making average teams to performing teams, making normal teams to average teams, and then to performing, and then to high performing. So all these life cycles as a coach, if you are not have been through, you will be just
Yeah.
looking at, maybe you just coached one high performing team and you said that, you just made them high performing, whereas you didn't realize that they were already performing or high performing. So the entire life cycle that in an
Yeah.
enterprise that you move from, I think that gives you a different blend from technology
Yeah.
side, process side, product life cycle side, people side, and the team skill side. That is from your variance as a Scrum Master to Agile Coach is
Yeah.
required.
I actually want to thank you very much, Namrata, and that's a great reframing as well. And I want to leave you with, because I think we're going to run out of time pretty soon. I want to leave you with a sort of controversial thought. You're probably ready to become an agile coach if your team doesn't need you anymore as a Scrum Master.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
Okay, our job, whether it's a Scrum Master, whether we're a
Good
Scrum
one.
Master or an Agile coach, our
That's
job
a
is
good one.
always
Mm,
to work ourselves out of a job. Then we're doing a really good job. So it's not to bring Scrum or Kanban or any safe or anything to the teams that we are, as much as it is, getting them to be able to manage themselves, and grow themselves and inspect and adapt themselves. All of that, so you need to figure out what is it, where's my team dependent on me, and what am I doing to make them dependent on me? And you need to stop doing that. You need to find a way to create the capacity that you have, to see that in them, and the plans that you can bring, the things that you can bring. How do I get that in my teams? Whether it's one team or multiple teams, or even an enterprise, how do I get that into my teams? Because you don't want them to become dependent. There's always more teams that we can go coach. There's always more teams that we can go be Scrum Master at. So how do I get them? How do I focus on getting that which I bring to the team? How do I cultivate that in them? So
So, Sumin, you are saying that when team is high performing, then Scrum Master should move to move the team
move to the next team.
your
next
job's
level.
She
done.
means, yeah,
Your
what
job's
she
done.
means is, I think if you have coached your current team to not
Yeah.
need you, you should move to the next level so that, you can make other Scrum Masters not needed.
just to add a little bit, uh, there is so much that you can learn from your experience, right? And attending these conferences, hearing out multiple people and their experiences, as someone who is going from Scrum Master to Agile Coach journey, it helps a lot. And thank you, Deepti, for creating such platforms for
Yep.
us, because,
Yeah.
somebody told me, from your experience, it's a hard and a slow learning. But if you go and hear people out, learn from their experiences, you can, accelerate your journey, your learning. So thank you.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
If one question is there, and I think you can answer
Great
any.
efforts.
So
Yes.
there's a question from for a learning roadmap. Okay, so obviously you're going to start with some agile training. I mean, most CSMs, if we talk the Scrum Alliance, or or PSM, if we talk Scrum.org, they just give you an introduction to agile. You then have to go. I mean, if somebody comes to me and they say, I want to become an agile coach, even if they are an actual professional coach, I tell them to go work in a team for 2 years. Go be a scrum master in a team for 2 years. Whether they're using Kanban and you want to be a flow master, or whatever the terms are, go and do work at the team level for 2 years. Okay, and then you can look at, right, now that I know how to set up a team, how to get them to high performance, what do I need? How can I work with multiple teams at once? Am I good enough in terms of the pools of wisdom and where they are and what I can do with them at that point, that I can work with multiple teams? Okay, and you do a good few years of that, so that you really understand agile, and you start in that time. Even a scrum master's job is to bring scrum to the rest of the organization. Maybe it's your product owner, maybe it's it's the stakeholders that you work with, but you already, even as a scrum master, your job is to spread the message and the learning and the being of agile to the people that you work with. As an agile coach, you just do that to more people and you become much more expert at it. So I would expect any agile coach to have some kind of little bit of professional coaching training, whether it's doing a course an agile coaching course that incorporates it, or doing a fundamental course in coaching or something. But you need to, if you're going to call yourself a coach, you actually have to get some professional coaching training, so that you know how to ask that, that coaching mindset. That comes from changing your own mindset. You have to do some personal development work to do that. And then if you as an agile coach, you realize, well, actually I've done all I can with all the teams that I work with, but I have to go work in the larger organization because the leaders are not with it, or the organizational structure is a limit. Then you need to go and get the organizational development training. You need to go get large scale facilitation training, all of those kinds of things. So it really is like we as coaches, we pick up a little bit of stuff everywhere, and we have to apply that in the situations. So yeah, it's whether, it doesn't matter what road you choose. There's this Scrum Alliance route, there's the safe route, there's the there's more and more on the Kanban stuff as well. There's the PSM route, which is, by the way, the hardest exam to pass. So if you pass that one, great. But all the organizations now,